my name is Elexis Nelson, and thank you for coming to my talk on bringing authenticity into the classroom. Today I want to start by telling you a little bit about myself. So I have been teaching English in public schools in Busan for 4 years now. And when I first came to Korea, I was very goal-oriented. I really wanted to teach my students everything I learned while studying linguistics in university, all the syntax, semantics. I wanted to teach them everything about the English language, hoping that they would fall in love just like I did. I was given only 2 pages of each English lesson, and with those 2 pages, I had to create 2 weeks worth of lessons. Usually these pages have some very vague key expression that you can use in certain situations. And I wanted to evolve that to become more of a holistic education, showing them ways that they can use not only this key expression, but variations of it in real life conversations with foreigners. Unfortunately and ironically, that did not include teaching them culture. But in reality, the thing that made me fall in love with linguistics in the first place, the affair between language and culture, was not something that I was sharing with my students. It wasn't that I didn't think that they were curious about their foreign teacher. It was just the PTSD of having my culture be constantly misunderstood felt so draining and time consuming. And I just wanted to keep it out of my curriculum. And in turn, I think that I was not being my most authentic self. So I wanted to find ways that I could be more authentic, to share my culture more with my students. So why am I telling you all of this? Because I want to open the dialogue about how we can be more authentic in our classrooms. In today's discussion, I want to share some methods that you can use to help be more authentic in your classroom. When thinking about ways to be authentic in a structured classroom, a lot of foreign teachers are forced into the corner that is holidays. Usually during the bulk of the school year, there's a lot of time restraint on lessons. There's often a rush on lessons due to upcoming exams. So teachers are often given the opportunity to add culture lessons at the end of the school year instead of throughout. The end of the school year is a time with fewer tests and lessons. It's also a time rich with American holidays. Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, etc. We are often asked to tell our students about our culture through those commercial holidays. This creates a lot of pressures for those of us that perhaps don't celebrate the holidays, or at least not in the Hollywood way. Shall I teach about Columbus, the founder of America, or Columbus, the invader? A lesson on Thanksgiving via our favorite bald kid, Charlie Brown, or of genocide? These are the existential questions that swirl in my head as I gear up to prepare a culture lesson. We as foreign teachers are expected to have these answers. What is your culture? Well, my culture is not just American culture. I have an African American culture. I have a Michigan culture. I have a family culture. And it's hard to figure out what is something worth sharing and what is something worth omitting. Most teachers opt for the holidays. The holidays are a very easy way to introduce something familiar as well as teach students something new about your own culture. Let's take Christmas for example. When Korean students originally hear about Christmas, they learn of Santa Claus. They hear songs about bullied reindeer and watch Christmas movies such as Home Alone. My Christmas was filled with It's a Wonderful Life marathons with my family, waking up at 6 a.m. with my cousins to open our gifts, and then watching A Christmas Story for 24 hours straight. It's full of Swiss hot cocoa and lifesaver candy canes. There's a snowball fights and trips to the German community in Frankenmuth. Those are the memories of Christmas that I cherish. But which version is authentic? Which is the authentic American experience? I didn't feel authentic just giving the highlights, but I also felt it difficult to share my personal experience without any confidence in how it would impact the students. So I compromised. In doing so, we created a project where they had an entire month of Christmas themed activities. When looking for a movie, I decided to go with Netflix. It's easy to find, especially with Korean subtitles. And as I was scrolling through, I was noticing a pattern. A lot of the Christmas movies available for Koreans on Netflix, there's not a lot of diversity there. There's not a lot of people that look like me, for example. So I decided to go with a movie called The Holiday Calendar. The Holiday Calendar is a great example of a diverse cast We have multiracial groups. We have also multicultural groups. Throughout the month, they not only watched the movie, but they enjoyed follow-up activities. For example, we would have quizzes where they would have to explain in what order did these events happen. So this is a great way to make sure that the students were still engaged with the storyline. They also had to do lots of games that included cultural information. And after doing that, the students had a project where they made advent calendars. And they each had their own little box that they wrote their names on. And in doing so, they learned that culturally, Christmas can mean a lot of different things to different people, as well as there are some memorable things that they may want to try in their own families. And my students really loved the project. They enjoyed the movie, they enjoyed the activities that came along with it, and they were able to produce a small piece of Christmas abroad. It turned out my students were just as interested in having an authentic teacher as I was in being one. So when it comes to being authentic in the classroom, I wanted to find some studies that would help us better understand the students' perspective on authenticity. In a case study conducted by Pedro Bruyckere and Paul Krishner, they explored the students' point of view on perceiving authenticity in their teachers. So in this study, they follow students from various ages. You have 21 female students and 19 male students, and their ages range from about 15 to 17, which is about the high school level here in Korea. They were asked what are the things that they look for in an authentic teacher. After doing the study, Bruyckere came up with 4 components that make up an authentic teacher. Expertise. Teachers are perceived as authentic when they know what they are talking about and can translate subject matter to the student's knowledge level. As in, the teacher can explain something to their students in various ways that meet their various different learning styles. Passion. Authentic teachers are passionate about what they teach. So of course, passion is something that students can see from your activities, see from your body language, and see from how much effort you put into your classroom. They believe that a passionate teacher speaks excitedly about the things that they are teaching so that their students can also feel enjoyment. You're teaching them because you care about their comprehension of the target language. Uniqueness. An authentic teacher gives students the feeling that each student in each class is different. Now, this is a difficult feat for foreign teachers, especially in public schools. You have so many students, so many names, so many faces, and so little time to get to know them. And it's very easy to lump. But students notice when you remember them, something they do or like, their hobbies. They like when you remember their names. Distance. So authentic teachers are not friends with their students, but show an interest in them. For example, my students really love K-pop, so I learn a few names here or there and throw them into my PowerPoints. When students see them, they get so excited and they're ready to learn a lot more. It may be hard for one reason or another to establish relationship with students, but going the extra mile does so much for the future of globalization in Korea. And even if it's something that you deem small, it could make a student's whole day. So in the past of giving this presentation, I've asked the audience to answer a few questions about authenticity. Now I want you to also try to answer these questions. Is it possible to tell if someone is indeed being truly authentic? Is authenticity a requirement at all levels of teaching? How constant should authenticity be? Is it only confined to holidays? Is it only confined to teachers that are foreign? What are your thoughts on that? I would love to hear them. And lastly, today I want to leave you with a few points that were made by Omaima Ayoub in her presentation of understanding authenticity in language teaching and assessments. She has quite a lot of things to say about the topic. However, there are 2 that I want to point out to you. One being connecting life and language learning is a way to be authentic. So if you can take the key expression that you have to teach the students and use it in a way to share a little bit about yourself, as well as some ways that they can use it to speak to other foreigners in your culture, it would be very beneficial to them. They understand it a lot better if they can see you attach it to some aspect of life. Enhancing learners' motivations and attitudes. So when we focus on the 4 components of being an authentic teacher, we are able to show students that we are passionate, and in turn they will become passionate. If we show them we're excited about a lesson, they in turn become excited about the lesson. So we just have to make sure that while we are teaching our lessons, whether it's complex or mundane, that we share some aspects about our culture and that we are being authentic about ourselves. And that way, students can understand better. Students are very intuitive and they know when we're being authentic and when we're not. How authentic are you being in your classroom? How much of your culture are you sharing with your students? And how much of yourself are you incorporating into your lessons? If the answer is not a lot, especially during this online climate, it's totally understandable. But I hope by addressing these things in my presentation, you'll be more conscious about what you're doing in your classroom and making sure that your lessons are effective even online. For a lot of teachers, there can be these moments of frustration where we wonder if our presence in our schools are as needed as we initially thought. If our inclusion in the education process is one of value or not. What we fail to realize is that our authenticity and culture are things that cannot be taught or understood without our guidance. It is our responsibility to be our most authentic selves with our learners as often as we can. We have to remind ourselves of one crucial thing. When they leave our classrooms, they are no longer seeing anyone like us. Language and culture go hand in hand, and students have a better experience when you bring authenticity into your classroom. Thank you.